Brian.
And we are recording.
What? Why? We didn't think of the other our last topic that we were going to.
Who cares?
Ooh, this is an awkward intro.
You're an awkward
Maybe
intro.
we won't leave this one in. We never have anything to talk about anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
As I've said, we've never played a video game before. This is
That's
all. We're just throwing things out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just like I know a Nintendo.
Do you?
I think so. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Brothers Game Podcast, starring your favorite brothers. Forget Mario and Luigi. It's Nicolai, and
Brian.
Brian is the other one. That's what I was going
I
for.
am the other
I'm glad.
one,
I'm
yes.
glad you knew the answer because I was drawing a blank. How's it going, Brian?
Going good.
I'm gonna sip some water.
So, not a lot has happened since we recorded the last podcast because that was quite
Only
recent.
been a couple days.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I've been continuing to play Breath of the
Breath of
Wild.
the Wild, sweet. Are you still just looking at shrines?
Yes,
and not
still
actually
just
doing them.
Arriving at
That's so
shrines.
interesting. Like, it's not a bad idea, but I've never heard of anyone never doing that before.
Yep. But like I said,
Hey, it works, man.
I'm filling out the map,
Yeah.
which I finally got the last
fun.
tower.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
The lightning one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's insane. Especially because the whiz robes flying around, they're horrible.
Yeah. Oh, I hate those things.
Yeah.
And it's
those
the
are tough.
worst is because they're electric. When it hits you hard, you
drop
unequip
everything. Yeah.
items, so you can't fight back.
Yeah. And you're just surrounded by water too, which makes like the AoE orb of lightning, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is definitely the hardest tower, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Central Hyrule's a close second with like the three guardians surrounding it.
Yeah.
That one's a little
Although
crazy.
now that I have guardian arrows, they have become a lot easier.
Oh, have you been using ancient arrows?
Yeah.
Have you been making them at the Akala place?
I've only used the
found
4
some,
that I
sure.
got for free.
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, you can build more at the
Yeah.
Akala Ancient
Yeah.
Labs. That ancient armor that's there is tippy topperson. It is so
Tippy
good.
Topperson.
Yes, it is so good. And it's like 2,000 per piece and takes a lot of ancient materials, but it's strong. It gives you extra guardian resistance. And if you upgrade it twice to get the outfit bonus, it gives you bonus damage and stuff with ancient weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very cool.
Nice.
Anyway, yes, Breath of the Wild's good. So that's what you've been playing? Yes?
Yep.
That's it. As I said last time, I got Link's Awakening for Christmas for the Switch, the remake of Link's Awakening. And that's been, I actually just played it today. I got through the first dungeon today. So the intro of that game is really fun. You got to go through like this forest and get magic powder, and then you got to help Mario not be a Tanuki anymore.
Wait, really? That's in it?
There's a guy named Terran
Uh-huh.
in the game, and he is a very short, rounded-faced man with a large nose and black hair, and he has a backpack full of like red-capped mushrooms, and he looks exactly like Mario.
Nice.
And you find him in the mysterious forest, and he's been turned into a Tanuki after eating a bad mushroom, and so you have to get magic powder to turn him back to normal. So that was very fun. There's tons of Mario references in Link's Awakening. It's some people just basically call it a parody of a Zelda game because of how many weird things like that are in it. There is, in the very beginning of the game, a neighboring house to where you wake up in has a chain chomp attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
A literal chain chomp.
No, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember watching someone play Link's Awakening,
Mm-hmm.
and they of course, I don't know why kids
they
are
call
like
it a
this.
bow wow.
Yeah.
the
So
game.
the kid was like, "Oh, this isn't a chain chomp. It's a totally different thing."
It's like, no, it was absolutely a chain jump. It was very purposely a chain jump. And at the same time, you can get this There's like this training quest in the game that takes a long time. The first item of that quest is a Yoshi doll, this little doll of Yoshi, literally just called the Yoshi doll. Like they don't even hide it with that. And you like give it to this mother that has like 5 children, and that starts the fetch quest. But yeah, so that's really fun. I think in the fishing area too, there's a chance to see a cheap sheep in the water.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, tons of things like that. It's really fun. I love the remake. They make little things so much easier than in the Game Boy version. Because in the Game Boy version, like for instance, your shield, you have to equip that in one of the A and B spots. And it's back on Game Boy, so you only have A and B, or your 2 buttons. And you have to, if you want your sword and shield, that takes up your A and B slot. So you cannot have any other item. No bow, no bombs, no nothing like that. And so if you replace your shield, you can't use a shield and like stuff like that. So it makes it like a lot more annoying to do anything. But in this game, your sword and shield are on all the time. And then you just have your X and Y buttons be your other items. And so just that alone has made the game so much more enjoyable to play. So yeah, I did the first dungeon, which is super easy. But you get the rock feather in that, and that's one of the most useful items in the game. Rock, as in the. Do you remember that D&D enemy? A rock, ROC.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
giant birds. Those messed us up on that caravan. I remember Ben threw those at us. Anyway, D&D talk. So yeah, the rock feather lets you jump over like pits and stuff. So you can now jump over like a 1 block area, which just makes everything so much easier. Being able to jump to dodge enemies is super, super useful. It's one of the few Zelda games that does that, I think. I don't think the rock feather is in many other games. But it's really nice. So yeah, that's been my Link's Awakening. So yeah, that's about that for Zelda. So, Brian, a big thing I wanted to talk about. As of recording this, now this is our 4th podcast. We have not posted a single podcast as of yet. We're waiting.
Don't tell them.
I know, that's fine. It's fine. We got to be real. We're waiting until we can post them and have a backlog a little bit, so that there's not these huge gaps in between posting podcasts.
We make no real promises of a upload schedule, but we're hoping for at least
monthly. I'd rather it was maybe every 2 weeks, a fortnight podcast. Everyone loves
that
Fortnite.
has nothing to do with
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
We love Fortnite. We talk about Fortnite all the time. The Fortnite podcast. That's a Rooster Teeth joke. I totally sold that. Anyway, go watch Face Jam. It's a great podcast. As of recording this, the Pokemon Nintendo Direct just happened. As you unzip your jacket to reveal the Pokemon shirt you're wearing, nerd. So the Pokemon Direct just happened a couple days ago, and as we've stated before, I watched it and know all the news, and Brian knows absolutely nothing.
That's because you're my source of gaming news.
Yes, he's like, "What's the internet?" That's fine. So I have a lovely phone full of notes I've made of things I want to talk about.
See, I'm over 30, so my internet usage is Facebook.
Wow. Okay, that's funny. You also watch YouTube videos 80% of your day.
Not quite 80%.
Okay. That's fine. If you weren't working, you would probably. So I'm gonna start with the shorter news. The first thing they revealed, which was a shock to everyone, including me, which I think is awesome because we just talked about it last podcast, I think. So they're coming out with for Switch the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX.
Oh, okay.
And what it is a they took the first 2 Mystery Dungeon games, the Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team, put them together into one game, and it is a complete remake. Not a remaster, not just a touch-up of a Game Boy Advance game, full remake.
Nice.
And it looks gorgeous. The cutscenes are like, so the Pokemon models are like, are 3D, but the backgrounds are very like illustrated looking and very, very artsy. and just looks absolutely beautiful. And so it's a complete remake of the two games, all put into one. And I'm like really excited about it because I only played Red Rescue Team a little bit. I never played Blue, and you, as we said last time, have never played a mystery dungeon game. So this is total. This would totally be the perfect opportunity to try one out. It's coming out in March, so just a couple months. I think March 6th was the release date. I'm not sure on the price point of it, from anywhere from 40 to 60 probably. Hopefully it's only like 40 or 50 since it is a remake, but we'll see. That I didn't look into. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that because it's so cute looking. It is insanely cute looking. So yeah, that was very exciting. The other thing, Brian, we got DLC. We got a lot of DLC,
Good old DLC.
which a lot of people are mad about this, which I think is so stupid. They're like, "Oh, Nintendo shouldn't have DLC, except for all the really good DLC they've made for the Switch." But anyway, this is the first time there's really DLC for a Pokemon game.
It's just popular to be mad at things. I
It's
think
true,
right
especially
now.
Pokemon right now. It's
Yeah,
like if it's
especially
Sword and
Pokemon.
Shield related, no matter how good it is, you have to hate it. So what they're calling it is there's the Sword expansion pass and the Shield expansion pass. They are both slightly different, as you would expect from two versions. They're coming out in two waves. So, but if you buy the pass, you get both parts for one price, which is awesome. I think the first part is being released in June. I think they've said, so a few months away still. And then the second part's not till fall area, so probably September, October, somewhere around there. So what it is, the first part is called the Isle of Armor. The second part is called the Crown Tundra, and they even explained it in the video like this. They explained this as this we're doing this instead of a third game. Instead of
Okay,
your crystal or your emerald or your platinum or your ultra sun, ultra moon, they're like we're just gonna put out huge DLC for each version. And I was blown away by how much is going to be there. From watching this whole video, I'm thinking of it as a second game, not as like a third version with a little bit of extras. It is a new game. Like so the Isle of Armor, first of all, completely new wild area. It's all open world. I believe the whole DLC is open world, and throughout the two parts coming out, there's going to be just over 200 new Pokemon. Not new, but old Pokemon that were not in the previous games, bringing the Galar Pokedex to just over 600, which is really cool. Awesome, tons of new Pokemon. They've shown some legendaries that are coming back, and they've shown just a few, maybe like 10, 15 of the ones that are coming back, like Garchomp, Chansey, Lycanroc, Nidoran, both sets, just to name a few. They've shown one new Galarian form, which you can actually get now, a Galarian Slowpoke. So it's just a Slowpoke, pink, right? Except he's got like a yellow top of his head and like yellow at the end of his tail. So that's like pretty much the only cosmetic difference. But I have one already in my game. I went and got it. And it's pure psychic.
Oh, interesting.
It's out of water. And they haven't even shown, they like showed a picture of his evolution line, and they're both scribbled out, both Slowbro and Slow King. They've said you can get both through items that you find. I think Isle of Armor, you can get Slowbro, and Crown Tundra, you can get Slow King. But yeah, they haven't shown them or shown what types they're going to be. But it's very cool, I think, that he's pure psychic. So that'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll get like a psychic ghost or like a psychic, who knows. So probably not water is what we can assume. So that's pretty cool. And so there's actually a bit of story to the Isle of Armor. You have a new mentor. His name is Mustard.
Mustard.
Yes. And they're calling him a mentor, not a professor, which is interesting. And this does
Colonel
link.
Mustard with the candles.
Yeah, exactly. And he's the leader of like a dojo in the Isle of Armor, and he was actually the mentor of Leon, of Champion Leon, and he apparently in his younger age was the champion himself. So he's apparently a pretty impressive Pokemon trainer. And in the story, he gives you a new legendary to train because he starts out. This is a legendary that it's only the second, I believe, legendary to evolve normally. I think Manafi or whatever her name is the only other one. So you get it, and he's called Cub Fu, and he's just like a little kind of bear, teddy bear looking thing almost. I want to say it's kind of like Teddy Ursa, but also kind of wolf like at the same time. So he's pure fighting when he's in his little form. And then as you train him through this DLC, he can evolve into two different versions. And they haven't said how or how to get to each one. But there's one who's very like big and stoic and strong looking. He looks like if a bear and wolf were mixed together, and then that was mixed with a Machoke. Is how it is basically how I'm thinking of it. And so that version is fighting dark. Is fighting dark type. But then he has another form where he's very like Bruce Lee, like flow like water, kind of like wavy looking, like
Kind of like Mian Chao, maybe a little.
a little bit, yeah. So he's fighting water, which I don't think has ever happened before, not that I can think of.
Just Poliwrath, I think.
Poliwrath, of course, yeah. I can't really think of any others.
Or is
And it's
is
fighting water, not water fighting. So
okay.
it is
And
slightly
then
different.
there's that one octopus.
That's
I
pure.
think.
That's pure fighting.
It is pure fighting.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
surprised by that too. Yeah, that the shield, the sword and shield octopus thing. Yeah, that's pure fighting, even though it's an octopus. Very
Weird.
strange. I thought that was weird too. When I first saw that Pokemon, I assumed he would be fighting water too. So yeah, those are his two forms. He's obviously got Gigantamax forms that are very cool. And then, gosh, this is the best part. So first, new Gigantamaxes for Venusaur and Blastoise, because they are being introduced.
Excellent.
They haven't said any other starters yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if some more came. But yes, so they're in the game now, and they have Gigantamax forms, and they're awesome. Venusaur's, his flower is now absolutely gigantic and like drapes over his whole body, and he's just like giant. And then Blastoise, his shell is now like a fortress with cannons all over it. Like literally, like it just looks like
That's
this
awesome.
towering fortress coming out of him. So that's super cool. Blastoise is our two favorites, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then the other Galarian forms that were introduced, they only showed pictures. They didn't say what typings or anything, but Galarian forms for the 3 legendary birds.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Super cool. They look awesome. I don't even know how to describe them, but they look totally different, but you could still tell it was them. So yeah, they haven't talked about typings or anything. But that was one of the hypest moments for me watching that. You can look up a picture if you want.
I am doing that right now.
So yeah, they look super awesome. We'll see what kind of typings there are. I'm guessing they'll keep flying. But like Moltres looks dark almost. Like Articuno looks super cool, I think.
Oh yeah, these look awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Moltres especially.
Moltres is all like dark and red and like, yeah, super cool. So very excited about that. Other little things, you can change your bike now, so it isn't so god awful ugly. Like the bike and the bike outfit are so ugly to me. They're so awful. So you're gonna be able to change that, which is awesome. New outfits. You can dress up as Marnie if you're a female trainer. You can get her whole outfit and her hairstyle, which is awesome.
Awesome. Nice.
And the guy trainers can get Chairman Rose his suit and his like half buzz cut. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's mostly the Isle of Armor. And then they talked about the Crown Tundra, which is very north, Galar, mostly cold mountains, obviously from the Tundra name. And they said the focus of the Crown Tundra is exploration. And so that introduces another new wild area in the second part, which is ridiculous. More new Pokemon along with it and all that. Um, and so through this exploration, they've said that now Dynamax max raid dens, where you fight, those the big Pokemon, those are now explorable and large.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and you can find special Pokemon in them. So you can explore these huge dens, and you can do it cooperatively. You can actually do a co-op exploration of a den, which is super cool. And in these dens, they've said you can find legendary Pokemon, and they showed them, and it was pretty much all of them.
Oh, nice.
Basically every legendary from every single game. Like they showed birds, Mewtwo, dogs, like Palkia Dialga. They showed like Zekrom and Reshiram. They showed Xerneas Yveltal. They showed so basically every version legendary is going to be in there, which is pretty cool. I didn't really expect there to be that many legendaries thrown in. And then along with that, like the Registeel, Regice, and all them, they're introducing 2 new Regis legendaries out of nowhere. Super cool. And they look 10 times cooler than the other 3. I actually never really liked like Regigigas and stuff. I
Yeah.
always thought they looked kind of weird. Regice is kind of cool because it's just like a big crystal. So the 2 that they showed, they didn't name them or type them, but it's pretty obvious. One is absolutely lightning. He's like made of pure lightning. He looks really cool. And then they showed one that I can only assume is dark type. And he's like red and black, and he has like giant claws that look like monster heads almost. Super weird and cool looking. I was like, wow, I actually want the Reggie, the new Regis legendaries for once. Maybe it's because I didn't really play those gens very much, but yeah, I just always thought they were kind of weird looking. Anyway, that's super cool. Let's see. Oh, and that has a brand new legendary as part of it. It's called Calyrex or Calyrex. It's kind of the focus of the story for the Tundra, and it's psychic grass type, and it's got a huge head. It's like this, so it's like very regal looking, but it's got like a really slim, like kind of just hanging body, and then it's got like a flower bud on its head that is like 10 times the size of its body. I don't know. It's kind of cool looking, but really dumb looking at the same time. I can show you a picture later. But everyone's making memes about that right now because they took. Do you remember Dewpider, the Pokemon?
Yeah.
And it's got like a little body and like the big little head.
Mm-hmm.
They just put like that head on like Kirlia's body, and they're like, there's the new legendary, guys. So that was really funny. So yeah, that's basically all of the info, most of the exciting info at least. So you can get both parts with the expansion pass for only $29.99, only $30 for what's essentially a sequel game. Some people don't really agree on this, but if you really watch the trailer and see the areas, I mean, it's really huge. It's from what they've shown at least. And so I think it's more than worth it. I've already pre-purchased the pass. So
Those Nintendo points I got from Kyle will be helpful.
yeah,
that.
no, totally. You have like $25. That's you only have to pay $5 for it then. So yeah, super cool. Not only that, this is really nice of them too. I think if you don't buy anything, you'll still get a free update in June when it's actually released, and that will introduce the Pokemon to the decks at least. So you can't get them, but they can be traded to you. So that's pretty cool. So they'll be in the game at least for those people, and you'll be able to trade them from your Pokemon Home, which is actually coming out next month. They've said it's coming out in February, and then you'll be able to transfer things from the Pokemon Bank from your 3DS to your Home, and then to your Sword and Shield if they're in the game. So that's super cool too. So yeah, they've really been. That's most of the info, but I was really impressed with how much they're adding to it. Talking about it as a third kind of game to it is very, very much what it looked like. Oh, Pokemon Gun. I forgot.
Pokemon Gun.
So there's Gigantamax forms for the main starters too. Not surprising. Rillaboom, he's just got like a huge drum set now, and like vine arms that are also playing the drums.
Nice.
Cinderace, his ears are now super long and floppy, and he's standing on top of a giant fireball. But the best one is Inteleons. So I don't know if you saw the memes when Sword and Shield, before it was even released, people made a fake image of the third game called Pokemon Gun. It's just like a green like Glock with Pokemon Gun on it. Really funny. And so, but Inteleon's Gigantamax, he has this like thin tower of water, literally like a sniping tower, and he's on top of it, and he has like a long shaft of water, and he's like sniping, and so he literally just has a gun of water on top of a sniping tower, and so they're like, guys, Pokemon Gun is confirmed.
Pokemon Gun.
We
Rated
did
R,
it.
starts Friday.
Pokemon Gun. Oh yeah. So that was fantastic. So yeah, that was all of our brand new Pokemon news. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, you can get Slowpoke, Galarian Slowpoke. If you go to if you do the current update and then you go to Wedgehurst Station, that first town, you'll meet your new rival there. Because there's a new rival as well for Sword and Shield. Different one for each one. You're gonna have a girl named Clara, who's gonna be your new rival basically inside the Isle of Armor, and she is a poison type user. She's basically training to become a gym leader. She wants to be a gym leader someday, and so when you meet her, and then Slowpoke comes off the train, and they're like, another Slowpoke stowed away from the Isle of Armor, and then you get a chance to catch it. That was cool. So you get her. I get, for Shield, you get a rival called Avery, and she is a psychic type user. She has a giant top hat. It's huge. And like and she has super long blonde hair. And all of her 6 Pokeballs like float around her top hat. She seems like a very eccentric, weird person. Both designs are great. They did really well with that. So yeah, that'll be fun to see what they're like. They're apparently going there to train as well. I'm not sure how they're going to deal with levels, though, is my one thing, because I don't know about you, all of my Pokemon are level 100. My main 6 team is level 100. So I don't know if when you get there, like levels will change or they'll scale with you, or I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, pretty cool information.
Cool.
This has been Brian's news hour. Brian learns about news.
Yep.
And that is my news.
Cool. Sounds good.
What else have you been up to, Brian?
Well, not I haven't been up too much lately, but while we're on the topic of Pokemon, hey.
Just sad. I can't believe
Just
So you speak in a gaming podcast, yet you hate video games. What's that about?
Well, you see,
You hate Star Wars.
as we both know,
fiction.
I hate all forms of art.
You hate all forms of just entertainment in general.
All forms of creative work.
It's just sad. What were you going to say?
So now that we've cut that out of the podcast.
Did you just cut that? Okay. How dare you?
No, I'm not going to cut anything live.
Live cutting.
That would be too
What's
difficult.
What's wrong with you? Should we live stream this someday when we actually have an audience? That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So, as I was trying to get to before I was so rudely interrupted by my podcast co-host, my very rude podcast co-host.
Very rude.
Very rude. So.
How very terrible. He's so cross.
While we're on the subject of Pokemon.
I thought we were on the subject of you hating things, but okay.
So dumb. Okay.
I know.
I wanted to talk about the Pokemon trading card game.
That's even nerdier than the video game.
Yes. It is one level higher in nerdiness.
I say as I have 100 times more cards than you do, but okay.
Yes, though you might have less than I had when I was a kid.
Yeah. You did
I
have
had
a
quite
lot.
a few
That's
at
true.
that point. At one point. But in addition to playing with the real physical cards wasn't enough for me. I needed to also play it on a Game Boy because I
Game Boy
just
Light.
needed everything Pokemon.
Yep.
So,
That game, man.
and it's funny because I've gone back and replayed it, and I realized that the thing about the trading card game, at least in the early days, in the first couple, when they just had the first couple of sets out, is that it was mostly about eliminating
Everything was
all the
horrible.
terrible cards. There were so many really bad cards. And so it was just
there
about
were.
getting all the crap out of your deck so
Yeah.
that it was somewhat usable.
Nice.
And somehow, this is one of the few games where I was better at it when I was a kid than I am now.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the few games that I beat
definitely
without
happens.
any cheats.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know any cheats for this game. So
Does it have cheats?
probably. Well, I mean, it probably had Game Shark cheats,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
but I'm not sure. I don't know of any exploits within the game itself.
Do you
But
think explore?
but yeah, I primarily used a fire and lightning deck.
In the video game, right?
Yeah,
Not in
well, also in real life.
real- well, yeah. Fire lightning's pretty good. So
Mm-hmm.
understandable.
It's centered around my powerhouses being Charizard and Zapdos, and like my kind of middle ground cards being like Charmeleon, Arcanine, and Raichu. Pokemon like that, Electabuzz, I think.
Yeah, Electabuzz was pretty good. I know that. Yeah.
And so that deck carried me through the game. And it's funny. There's this weird character who's like a real life person inserted into the game, and he like wants to be a Pokemon, but he isn't. And you get a card with him on it. Yeah,
What?
yeah, it's weird.
Why? What was his name?
I don't remember,
Nice.
but yeah, and I don't know. Did you ever actually play this game or no?
No,
Okay.
I've seen you play it, but that's
Yeah.
it.
So you've got gyms basically, but there's no real overworld. There's like an overworld map that just shows you where all the gyms are, but you just move from one gym to the next. So there's not really towns. There aren't routes. You just go from one gym to the next. And there's a gym for each type because there's not very many types in the card game. So
Right,
they were able
right.
to have
There's
one for
less.
each.
How do you get cards?
So every
How do
time
you
you
get
beat
more
a
cards?
trainer, you get booster packs
Okay,
for your deck.
and they're just random.
Yeah,
Interesting.
mostly.
Interesting.
I think like if you beat a water gym trainer, that you might get
water
more water
packs.
type Pokemon. But
Interesting.
yeah, and then there's a guy that you can fight in the lab where you start in that will give you just energies.
Oh, that's nice.
So you really want to fight him a lot early in the game
Yeah,
to
just
get
to make
to
sure you
build
have a
up
lot
all
of
your
energies.
energies.
Interesting.
And but there's a big luck element in the
Oh,
game
yeah.
because sometimes you just
Well, it's just kind of true of
yeah
the trading card game, anyway.
yeah because you obviously don't start out with being able to choose from every card ever,
Right.
or else
Right.
the game would be too easy. So sometimes you just start a game and you have one Pokemon and then they kill it and then you have no others and then you lose.
Yeah. Jeez.
But of course, that can sometimes work in your favor, and sometimes your opponent only has one, and then you
Yeah.
win really easily.
Weird. Funny.
And oftentimes they only play with 2 prizes. So
Oh,
if
so
you
they're
can
like
take
super
out,
short games.
yeah, it can be. So if you take out 2 Pokemon, you win.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But it doesn't always give you a lot of time to build up
Yeah.
anything because you die before you get a chance to build to send your good Pokemon out.
So I have played the online Pokemon TCG that they have now on my iPad, and so I sort of know what that's like because I've also played Pokemon against computers, so I kind of get that because yeah, the randomness of your deck can really screw you over.
And And then you have a rival in the game. His name is Ronald.
Ronald.
Yeah,
Ronald.
and he's a jerk.
Hello, Ron.
Like I know, like
Ron Weasley.
the early,
Like, is he like Gary Jerk or like Silver Jerk, where he's like a
he's
criminal?
he's more like Silver Jerk.
Ooh,
I
that's
feel like
messed up.
he's like actually mean.
Actually, a bad person.
It's not like Gary where he's just kind of
He's like a snarky jerk a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah, but still your friend.
yeah.
That's funny.
And I think it's the fighting gym. All of the trainers are out at other gyms, so you have to track them all down before you can fight the gym leader.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then you have to fight basically an Elite Four of sorts, and then you get legendary cards.
Legendary, like the birds and Mewtwo and such.
Yeah, I guess, but like Mewtwo's not really that big a deal in the trading card
no.
game. He's not even very good.
Yeah. Did you ever collect all 151 in that game?
I don't know, because it didn't really.
Didn't really think about it that way, yeah.
Yeah, well, because like there wasn't really any reason to collect cards I wasn't going to use in my deck,
Right,
In one
yeah.
of my decks, so I didn't have a lot of motivation.
Can
to
you
do
like
so.
buy singles anywhere with like money?
I don't think so. No, I think
Can you
it's
buy
just,
extra booster packs, or do you always have to fight for booster packs?
I think you always had to fight for it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but
Fun to try that game out a little bit.
also, I don't think the base set of Pokemon even had all 150. Pokemon
Yeah,
in it.
yeah, I don't think it did. So.
Now you can get, I think, almost all 150 if you collected all three of the original sets, which were base, fossil, and jungle. Mm-hmm. They had, if they didn't have all 150, they did have most of them.
Mm-hmm. And then the ancient Mew from when you went and saw the
Yeah.
first Pokemon movie in the theaters.
Yep.
That promo ancient Mew.
Yeah. And and then as far as real life cards go, I
Yes.
got
We played a lot as kids for sure.
yeah, I stopped collecting, I think, sometime after the base 2 set came out.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Charizard in a $3 booster pack,
You did,
which was
which
awesome.
would now be worth
which would now
much more.
really only be worth maybe $50, but that's still like a
Depends. They fluctuate a lot.
that's still like 1,000% increase
Yeah.
in value.
That's pretty cool.
I do remember though, like trying to sell your cards to shops was just as bad as trying to sell games to GameStop.
Yeah.
Or,
Oh yeah. They would give you nothing.
music equipment to Guitar Center.
Yeah.
Like the return, they would give you.
You'd have to
squat.
sell it to like your friends who
Yeah.
actually wanted it.
Yeah, I do.
like $2 a card
I do
or
remember
something,
though,
yeah.
like trading cards between people. So I was like
Yeah, did you
actually
actually
doing
trade
what
cards?
Nintendo.
I don't know if I've ever traded
or-
a card with somebody that wasn't
Yeah.
you, at least.
I did, and it was a bad deal, but I didn't know
Yeah.
at the time. I think I traded like a Nidoking for a Charmander.
Oh my gosh.
But the thing is I think I
Nidoking's
had
good.
two Nidokings and I had no Charmander. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, so
yeah.
not that bad of a trade.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. Although they had like written on the card, and so it was
Ugh,
therefore
that's
not
awful.
worth anything. Although I wound up
can't
ruining
stand that.
the majority of my cards anyway. so,
Yeah. Now I'm like so protective of my cards.
yeah. But that's of course I hadn't ever considered selling any of my cards.
Yeah.
At that.
I mean, you
point.
were a kid.
Yeah.
Kids don't really think
I was a
about
kid,
that
like,
usually.
oh, I'm going to keep these cards the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
That did not happen.
But yeah.
We've had a resurgence
Yeah,
a little bit.
somewhat recently.
in the past couple years. Around the time XY Evolutions came out, just about the XY time in general.
Yeah,
A lot of good stuff. XY Evolutions was the one that had the original cards, basically,
Yeah,
like the original art and everything on them.
yeah, and like that's also when Mega Evolutions.
Yep, Mega
were a thing,
Evolutions
so, yeah.
started and stuff like that. I started collecting them pretty big time. I have a box this big. Not that you can see what this big is in an audio podcast. It was this big, audience. Look at how big it was. Can you believe it? Mm-hmm. I have a very large box, multiple card boxes now of cards. I have a different box just for like my normal types
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's so many.
I remember I had a binder
And, like,
with all
EX
those
cards
like
and all that.
those 9 pockets.
Yeah,
those
yeah.
sleeves that have
classic sleeve
those
binders,
pages
yeah.
that have 9 that are like clear plastic and they have like 9.
I wouldn't
pockets
be
in them.
able to. I would need many binders if I was going the
And
binder route. That's why I went the
and
box route.
they were stuffed with like 5 cards thick or
Yeah,
something. Like
yeah.
I fit as many
For
cards as I
sure.
physically could into those.
I do have binders full of Weiss Schwartz cards, but
Yeah, and I would sometimes, because this is the type of person I am, I would sit down and reorganize them in different
well,
orders.
that's just fun.
Like one time, I did it in Pokedex order. I did it in alphabetical order. I've done it in order of the set they were in. So
Oh
like,
yeah,
they have a number at the bottom that says
Yeah.
which number they are in the set, and I ordered them by set.
they also have like a little icon usually.
Yeah,
For the set.
I mostly stuck to Pokedex order because
Yeah, me
I
too.
pretty much had that memorized at that point.
Well, they also
And,
say it on the card. So. I like that the cards under their picture have a little thing with their Pokedex number and like their weight and height and stuff.
Yeah, which Pokedex number is a little more complicated than it was in the first 2
Yeah.
gens.
Now it's like, oh, this is 394 and this is 527. And
Yeah, this is its national dex number. This is its
yeah,
regional dex
thankfully
number.
they go
This is
national
it-
decks
yeah.
on everything because that would be ridiculous. Like XY regional decks, like mountain region decks. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, yikes. Yeah, I have them organized by type and by amount of cards I have in that type. So like the first one in the box is my stack of water types because I have more of that than anything else because there's just a lot of water types in general. And then it goes, I think, like fire, then like electric, then maybe psychic, and just goes down into smaller piles. And I have like nice little separators that are like 4 cards. But then within those types, I have them Pokedex entries. But I've separated out all the megas and the EX and GX cards and stuff. Those are in a whole separate area. Yeah.
Speaking of types, like I think when I was a kid, I didn't like the fact that the types were like subgrouped the way they were. So like,
Well, there's 3 more now than
Yeah.
there were, or 4 more actually.
Fighting, rock, and ground. We're all just fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Grass, poison, and
definitely
bug.
unique.
We're all just grass. But honestly, looking back, I think the video game would have benefited from that simple
Yeah, that's
simplification because of just how like the
the
fact
ground
that
and rock nonsense.
yeah, well, the fact that like Ghost and Dragon are just kind of pointless types in
not anymore.
Gen 1.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in Gen 1, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore, but
Right, but like in the first generation, I think it would have simplified things to
Yeah.
just like lump Ghost together with Psychic and lump
his
like,
ghost made
bug
no
and-
difference
yeah.
in the first one. The only ghost move that did damage was lick.
Yeah.
So, and there were no dragon moves.
right.
The only dragon move did a set amount of damage. So
Right. So
Yeah.
there's really no such thing as type advantage and disadvantage with those types because
so weird. What a weird decision.
except I guess Dragon was still resistant to a lot, so it was kind of good in that
so
regard.
that was good. That's
But,
true.
yeah.
But yeah, fairy didn't exist, so dragon was pretty strong back then. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, Dragonite was nerfed by the fact that he was flying type.
Yeah, so he was 4 times weak to ice.
To ice, yeah. Yep. And there's still a lot of flying dragon types.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
but
Dragons often
they
have
do often
wings
fly,
in folklore, so
Yeah. I like one dragon flying Salamence. One of my very favorite Pokemon. In my top 6, in my 6 main team. Love me some Salamence. Even though he's 4 times weak to ice.
yeah.
I love him anyway. Anyway. I have... Do you have like a deck? Do you actually have a deck at all?
Not currently, no. I don't actually have enough cards.
You gotta get on that.
Yeah.
I have 7 decks. 2 of which are like my main decks. I have a really good psychic deck that I like a lot.
It turns out I don't really care a lot for the Pokemon trading card game.
It's
I think
fine.
mechanically speaking, it's not a very strong game.
When you have cards you really like, it's really fun, I feel like.
I actually really prefer playing Weiss. So
Yeah, I do actually prefer that as well. But
Yeah.
I've been able to make decks that I like so much that it makes me like the Pokemon trading card
Yeah.
game a little more.
yeah, Weiss Schwartz. That's a
Weiss Schwartz.
That's a another
Yeah.
trading card game that we enjoyed.
It's
that we,
based on anime
Yeah.
series.
which we might talk about that a little more in a future episode.
We could talk about it right now. We got time.
Yeah. Well,
Just
okay.
for fun.
So
We're talking about card games.
yeah. I
So
guess
basically, for anyone who doesn't know, it's not as well known, definitely, as Pokemon or Magic or anything like that. But it's every set is based off of a different anime series, and it's pretty unique in that regard. Like there's a whole set for like Persona 4. There's a set for there's a Miku Hatsune set. There's
Angel
a
Beats,
Angel
which is my
Beats.
deck.
There's Sword Art Online set. There's a bunch of new ones like Goblin Slayer has a deck now. Fate Stay Night has a set. Fate Zero has a set. Like Madoka Magica. Yeah, so tons of different anime just have their own full set of like a starter deck, which they call a trial deck in that game.
Yeah.
And then they have boosters, of course, for every set.
And there's no energy or mana, which
No,
is
no,
one thing I
there's
really
just
enjoy
character
about the
cards.
game. It just helps simplify it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You've got different levels, which
3 levels
indicate
of
what
characters.
level of card you can play. So kind of like with multiple stages in Pokemon, it's just that you don't have to rely on one Pokemon to evolve into another. You just play a higher level card once
depending
you
on
reach
your
a higher
personal level. Yeah. Basically, the simplest way of putting it is as you take damage, you level up.
Yeah.
If you take enough damage, you go from level 0 all the way to level 3.
Right.
And once anyone levels up into level 4, which doesn't really exist, but basically you're level 3 and you take enough damage, then you lose.
Right.
So it's about doing damage to your
so
opponent.
you get stronger and stronger, but you also get closer and closer to death.
And but as you get stronger, you can play higher level characters, which do more damage.
Yeah, and
It's very cool. It's a very well put together trading card game, I feel like.
And then I really enjoy Angel Beats, so that's why I have that deck. Kanade is my waifu, and so
Wow.
that is who
Kanade's Bay.
yes, that is who I centered my deck around was Kanade.
That's awesome.
Just as many cards of her as possible.
I have quite a few Love Live cards. I got into it mostly because of White Shorts.
Yeah, your idle trash deck.
Yeah. But like then I actually watched the anime and I'm like, anime is actually pretty good. So this is awesome. So that's my main deck. It's definitely a Love Live deck. But I also have Haruhi, which I love. Haruhi Suzumiya.
Oh yeah, once again I forgot that was a deck.
Yep.
So.
I have a Haruhi deck, mostly based on Yuki. It's mostly a Yuki Haruhi deck.
Well, that's because Yuki's the best girl.
Blue and red. Well, yes, of course. That's really fun. Very exciting. In March, just a couple months from now, the JoJo set is coming out in English.
Jojo Kimi no Boken.
So we're also JoJo nerds, which any JoJo fan will tell you that they're a JoJo fan. They make it quite clear.
Is that a JoJo reference?
Yes, exactly. Disgusting. But yeah, so there's a set for part 5 coming out in March, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna get so many. And what I think is cool about White Schwartz too is the fact that the trial decks or starter decks are actually good.
Yeah, you can just open one up and use it right away, and
it's like
it's actually okay.
Really solid deck,
especially the Love Live one.
especially Love Live. The Kantai deck is super strong. That might be the strongest trial deck that I know of. I can't think of it. Never mind, I forgot. There's a lot of good trial decks, which is really cool because they're only like $20, and you can just play the game. It's a great deck to start out with, and because of how the game works, there's definitely some strategies, but basically a novice player can still win a game against an experienced player, just through luck. Like you can totally luck your way into winning that game.
And yet, at the same time, it still doesn't feel as luck-based as the Pokemon game.
It does feel like you can catch up, even if you feel like you're losing.
Because there obviously, if you build your deck a certain way, you're a lot less likely to run into situations where, say, you have no level 0 cards in the beginning.
But the set rule of 8 climax cards really takes away some of the deeper strategy that it could have, which is nice, actually.
Well, and then also like in Pokemon, you can have at most 6 of your Pokemon faint before you lose.
Right. You just lose.
Whereas
Yeah.
in Weiss, you
You
can
could have
have
an infinite amount of
dozens of your
characters, basically.
cards
Up to your
die.
max deck. Yeah.
And also, if you don't have a card on the field, that doesn't mean you lose. It just means you're going to take some extra damage until you draw
Yeah.
a good one.
It's kind of similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, where like you're killing your opponent's characters to get to them. You're trying to attack them directly. It's less about killing an amount of monsters and more about attacking your opponent directly. So yeah, it's cool. We'll highly recommend it if you're into anime and a huge nerd like us. And that gets into being able to buy beautiful card sleeves from Japan of your favorite animes.
You know what's
That's
funny
the best
is
part.
when I first started getting Pokemon cards, I didn't actually know how to play the game.
Oh yeah, they just looked cool.
Yeah. And so
That's what it's all about.
you know what I did was so I didn't know how energies worked or that you needed them.
It's awesome.
I also assumed that the types so I kind of understood how they worked, but not really. I thought that the type of energy that you needed to use the attack was the type that the attack was. I didn't realize that it was whatever type your Pokemon was. And so, which made more sense coming from, like, I had played the video games for months at this point. So I was like, oh, okay, if Charizard uses Slash, well, that's a normal type attack, so it should do normal type damage. And
Gotcha.
like the requirement was colorless energy. Like, oh, okay,
So it must be a normal type move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I remember I would play with the daycare kids, the kids our mom was taking care of in daycare, and I was only a little older than they were. They were like
They was.
yeah, they were like 7 and 8, and I was like 10 probably. But I would be like, oh, okay, let's play Pokemon. And then I'd pull out my Charizard and my Zapdos and just destroy them and be like, yeah, wasn't that fun?
And say, I won, so
Yeah.
I guess. Did you know how to play the game at that point?
No, not at first. I eventually learned, and then I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay, now here's how we actually play.
Now we'll actually play.
Yeah.
So yeah, you liked the strong Pokemon where you had to discard all your
Always.
energies
Yeah. I liked winning.
and then take another 4 turns to build it back up and attack again.
Like I didn't
Hate
really
that.
care how I won as long as I won.
Wow. What a kid way of thinking.
Yeah. But I mean, I was a kid.
Yep. You were a kid.
I still enjoy winning. It's just that now it's like, oh, okay, if it's too easy, it is kind of boring.
We just got to play Pokemon more with my awesome decks, Brian. Clearly. Clearly. I have not used my main deck yet because I
Yeah.
have no one to play Pokemon with. But it's so awesome. Yeah.
There was a Star Wars trading card game that came out
Was there
around.
really?
Yeah,
I'm
it was.
sure there was,
This was like right after episode 2.
Okay. So
which-
like or very early 2000s.
Which that was the point in my life. I think my Star Wars hype was at its peak. Was
Yeah.
right after episode
Yeah.
2 came out.
'Cause you got
Because
to
even though
see-
it's probably the worst of the 9
a hot
mainline
take.
Star Wars movies, I'm not sure anybody's going to really disagree too strongly with me on that. Episode 2 being the worst.
It's probably my favorite of the original trilogy.
Wow, that's funny.
That's probably nostalgia only though.
Yeah.
I was a kid when it came out in theaters.
Well,
so I was very
yeah,
excited.
a big part of it
That's
is
pretty much the only
age I
reason
was.
why.
I was like 13 when it came out, and so
I know it's bad,
I was
but
very impressionable.
the droids versus the Jedi
No,
in the
dude. So
Coliseum,
my
that scene is so cool.
some of my favorite stuff from
scene
the
is
prequels
awesome.
is the designs of like vehicles and droids and stuff. I thought the designs were really cool.
Send the droid because
Yeah, like I have a book that's just the
Nerd.
vehicles and vessels of Star Wars, and it's just got a bunch of the
Disgusting.
designs of stuff from both the movies and also from the expanded universe and some stuff from the prequels. And yeah, it's cool. Like I think
it is cool.
even the worst Star Wars movie has a cool universe.
Something, yeah.
Like
a cool
the
something.
Star Wars universe is cool regardless of how good or bad the story may be.
Dude, episode 2 is the best. It has the death sticks scene. You want to go home and rethink your life. Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
Yeah, but so after that movie came out, there was
Yeah.
this little trading card game, and I remember you and I actually played it a couple of times.
As you were talking about it, I vaguely remember it. Yeah.
I think we probably played it like 3 times, and I owned the cards for probably a total of a few months.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure that might have been the last trading card game I played for several years.
Yeah. Interesting.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh once with our friend Alla
Did you play with Yala once?
one time,
That's funny.
and I had no idea what I was doing because, as we all know, the card game
pretty
is
complicated.
unnecessarily complicated.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So
Yes, it is.
to this day, I've still never. There we go. To this day again.
This day.
I've never played Magic the Gathering.
So I, likewise to your one experience with playing Yu-Gi-Oh with Allah, I one time played Magic with John,
Yeah.
who's our only close friend that actually plays Magic. We played one game at a convention. We just sat on the lobby floor, and he was like, "I'm going to teach you to play Magic," and then I won, while not really knowing what I was doing. And I was like, "Cool," and then I never played it again. That was my experience with Magic.
You know what's funny though is even though he's probably the only friend of ours that currently plays,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure every single friend I've ever had, besides maybe Tim,
Right. Played it at
has
one point.
played it at one point in their lives.
Yeah. That's
I'm
not
pretty sure
surprising.
Ben still has Magic cards that he just has never played.
Well,
with.
I know Perry used to play as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't anymore, but he pretty much only plays Hearthstone now. What a nerd. Jeez.
Yeah, freaking nerd.
Get out of here. Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes.
I just gosh, within last few months, I was like, how do you play Yu-Gi-Oh? I was so curious because I've known nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh. So there was a night where I watched like, I don't know, 2.5 hours worth of YouTube videos of people talking about how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, and I watched a lot of Simo videos. He's like a pretty popular Yu-Gi-Oh YouTuber apparently. So yeah, I just watched tons of videos on how to play Yu-Gi-Oh and became fairly well versed in it just through that. And I was like, actually looks kind of cool. So I downloaded the Duel Links app, which is basically just an app game where you can play Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's slightly different, but it's pretty much the same. And it was pretty fun. I actually played that app for a few weeks before I was just like, meh, because I didn't really want to play it in real life. I didn't want to put the money into it to actually get cards and stuff, but it was actually pretty fun. It was kind of cool.
So also Digimon.
What's Digimon? Digivolve into champions.
Neither of us ever really got into Digimon all that
I
much.
liked the show, but
I never
that's
watched
it.
much of the show.
I watched it a little more than you did.
Yeah. I had a little bit of the cards, so I knew
Never
some
played cards.
I
I
knew
didn't
the
really
like
know.
3 or 4 most popular like monsters from the game, like
Yeah,
Greymon,
Greymon.
Seadramon.
Yeah.
And they had like their metal forms, which those and I always thought
Very cool.
those were the coolest.
Very cool. That little orange dinosaur got big.
Yep.
Got real big.
Got big and covered in metal.
Yep.
So I had a
Digimon
handful of
are the
those.
champions.
There was also a Dragon Ball Z card
Digimon
game
monsters.
that I collected.
There's a new one that's really popular. Did you know that? It's like a huge thing now. Anyway.
I collected some of the cards, but I don't think I ever played with them.
Yeah.
Actually, same goes
Did
for
you know
Digimon.
did you know there was a Kingdom Hearts card game for a
Oh,
little
really?
bit?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that at all.
No.
I got like a starter pack and a couple boosters just because I loved Kingdom Hearts so much. This was like when I was a teenager. And I never played it once, didn't know how to play it, didn't know a single other person who had cards. I just had them because I liked Kingdom Hearts. And that's it. Came to nothing. Yep. It's very common with card games, I feel like. So, Brian, I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
I thought about doing this and I really want to.
All right.
So, Brian, how do you special summon a monster?
I have no idea.
Give me your best answer.
My best answer.
Yeah, do your best. This is really important.
So.
Yeah. What do you do first? Does it have to be your turn to special summon?
Yes.
Okay. What else?
And
What are your other conditions?
You sacrifice a monster
Interesting.
in order to summon
How
one.
many?
It depends
Okay. What does it depend on?
how powerful the card is.
The card you're special summoning?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Sure. Okay, I'll go with that final answer.
Okay, great. It's not bad actually.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's similar to, gosh, now I'm blanking on what it's called. It's not synchro. It's not fusion.
Polymerization.
No, that's fusion summoning.
Oh, okay.
You know that because Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
Well, of course.
Most of our Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge comes from Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I knew that because I'm pretty sure that's how you formed the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which was the coolest monster
That
in
is
all of
fusioning.
Yu-Gi-Oh! So.
Yes, you need to fusion that. Where are fusion monsters kept?
Um,
Are they in your hand? Are they in your deck? Where can you fusion summon out of?
out of the fusion zone, of course.
Fusion zone. That does actually sound like a thing.
I
a
mean,
Yu-Gi-Oh
that could
thing.
be a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I
I
mean,
wouldn't
that
have been
does sound
surprised to hear that.
Oh, okay. Tribute summoning. Sorry, that's what it's called. You basically described tribute summoning, which is
okay,
pretty
cool.
funny. Any monster above like 4 in power, you must sacrifice a monster to summon it. But it's still considered normal summoning, which you can only do once
okay.
per turn. Special summoning is just special effects listed on cards. But you can do that. You can special summon as many times as you want during your turn, which is nice. Brian, how many places on the field can you put monsters?
2.
2. That would be a very interesting game. There's 5.
There's 5. Wow.
5
okay.
in the front, 5 in the back. Well,
Oh,
5 in the back
okay.
for traps.
I didn't realize you were saying how many can you put and didn't how many.
Oh, okay.
Because then I would have said a slightly higher number.
Okay.
Because
Well, there's 5 in the back for spells and traps as well.
Right, because like in Pokemon, you have 1 in the front and 5 on the up to 5 on the bench, I believe.
Brian, explain to me attack mode and defense mode.
Attack mode, you use your attack points, and that's also basically your health, and that's how much damage you do. And then defense mode is you use defense points, and they so you tend to have, and I don't know, like maybe you take reduced damage.
When can you go into defense mode?
Before you end your turn.
I'd end my turn. When you summon a monster, can you put it in attack or defense mode?
I believe so.
Can you though?
Yes, I believe so.
You can only summon a monster in defense mode if it's like not showing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You can only play it upside down in defense mode. You can't play it face up in defense mode.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is interesting. So you like surprise your opponent when they attack it. It's like, whoa, what is this? You can
Not so fast, Kaiba. You've activated my trap card.
You can also do what's called flip summoning, which is you place a monster in after you're placing a monster in upside down. Then on your next turn, you can flip summon it, which can trigger certain flip effects. So exciting. Last one. Maybe. This is fun. When can you attack your opponent's life points directly? What does that entail?
When you have a card that says you have that option.
Why wouldn't my deck be only those cards?
Because you probably need other cards.
Oh, okay. Basically, if there's no monsters on the field, you can attack their life points.
So I couldn't
directly.
remember if that was actually a condition in the game. Like
they have no
if
monsters.
that was a situation that ever actually happened.
If you have like 3 monsters and they have 1, you kill that monster. Your other 2 monsters can direct attack for direct life point damage.
Okay, so that in that regard, it's similar to Weiss.
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Otherwise, your attacks, they go against your opponent's attack if they're in attack mode, and whatever overflow is done to your opponent as life point damage.
Okay, that I think I remember. Yeah.
So if they have 3,000 attack, you have 3,200. You kill their monster and do 200 life point damage. Basically, defense mode is good because no matter what, even if their attack is higher than your defense, your monster will die, but the opponent will take no life point damage.
Oh, okay. So,
So
it's
that's why
just a
defense is so
it's
useful.
just a barrier to getting your life points being hit. Okay. Yeah.
But if you attack a monster in defense mode and their defense is higher than your attack, you take life point damage directly,
Yeah.
depending on the overflow,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. So there's some monsters where you'll have 500 attack and 3,000 defense, like a defense only monster basically.
Yeah.
Those can be really fun sometimes.
Tanks.
Yep. Anyway, it's fun. I actually quite enjoyed and learning about it.
Yeah.
This has been quizzing Brian on things he knows nothing about. Thank you. Another new segment on the Brothers Game podcast.
One of the so I may have to come up with one for you.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
First I'll have to figure out a subject that you don't know
I don't know anything about. Haha. Good luck. I'm such a nerd. I know everything.
What's the difference between DHCP and static IP addresses?
Dang it. I don't know. Yeah, you can computer nerd me to death. Like, I barely know this mic works. That's not true. Brian, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
How long have we been going?
A little over an hour.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, so we did discuss maybe talking
How
about...
your farts been?
We did discuss maybe talking about... what kind of question is that?
One you didn't answer, obviously. Sad.
I mean, I did earlier in the podcast and you didn't
Oh,
notice.
really?
So.
Oh, man. I thought you only burped during the podcast. Every time you burp and lean away from the mic, it reminds me of Chocolate Rain by Tayson.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, I lean away from the mic to breathe. You remember that? I'm old enough to know those OG memes.
Yeah. So, we had possibly discussing Guitar Hero.
Discussions.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So, Guitar
Very
Hero.
large part of our growing up in games.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
My teenage years.
it wasn't even actually that many years, but
Felt like
yeah. I mean, it felt like it because like it took over our lives for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I think I believe so. You and Ray played it before that I did. Ray
Yep.
being our older sister. And I think you guys were playing Guitar Hero 2 on the PS2.
Exactly correct.
And so at one point I decided I wanted to pick it up, and I was just like everybody else who plays the game for the first time, absolutely terrible.
Awful. So awful.
Could barely even play a note or two. Just like I was on real guitar at the time.
Yep.
But
I remember Ray was very cool and excited because she completed a song on Medium.
Yeah.
Whoa. Crazy.
and then I remember I got
That's
up
got that
to
blue button.
I got to the point of being able to beat songs on easy and then on medium, but none of us could crack hard mode.
No. The orange button.
It was just
Too
that
much.
that barrier that we could not pass. It was our wonder
Many people
wall.
don't. Yes. Which is surprisingly not in Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that is
Weird.
kind of weird. But then one time I played a song on hard mode and I thought I'm going to move my hand up and have my pinky on the orange button and instead of having my index finger on the green button. And I was able to play it. So I
and
was
you
the
beat a
first
song on
person
hard
in our family to beat
You were
a song on
I
hard
was
mode.
disgusted.
And then, and that's basically still the technique I use now. Instead of
Yeah.
stretching, I just slide my
I stretch.
hand.
But yeah. That's funny.
So I just move my whole hand up one
My
fret.
fingers stretch enough where I can just hit all 5 buttons.
Well, and mine do too, but it's just easier for me to
Yeah.
slide than it is to stretch.
The real renaissance came when we played Guitar Hero 3, though.
Yeah, so
That was when we really got into it. That's
Yeah.
when that came out. For 360, we played it on.
and at this point in my life, like I didn't really care about music all that much. Like there was some music I liked, but it was I didn't really own any music.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Didn't
listen to it
music, yeah.
casually or like for fun. I just if it was on and it was a good song, I'd enjoy it. But otherwise, I wouldn't like go put a CD on.
Right.
I
Yeah,
just
even me back then, yeah.
and even when I did, it wasn't hard rock or metal. Mm-hmm. But
I had kind of gotten into my emo phase back then.
yeah,
I was definitely a emo kid during the scene era.
and
back
Ala
then.
helped with that.
Yes,
introducing
definitely.
us into all of his
Got into
emo music.
and screamo and stuff.
But
That was pretty much it for me.
Yeah, but then in Guitar Hero, we were playing songs like "One" by Metallica, and we had "Raining Blood," and we had
Tons of just classic rock.
the metal. We had
I mean,
"Paranoid."
Santana was on there.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath. So many classic groups that we didn't
Mm-hmm.
really know. Like my dad was super into that music, but I didn't really know it, So
And so that started getting me interested in like hard rock and metal. And then my stepbrother was like, "Oh, you're into metal, huh?" And
Yeah,
he
he's super
he
into
got
it.
me way into. He just started
because he was a pretty huge metalhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, Guitar Hero is the reason I play bass.
Yeah.
And I've now been playing bass for 10 years.
And it's when I got more serious about guitar too. Mm-hmm. So.
And it's funny too because I think it was Ala who just was like, "Hey, you should try bass," and
Yeah.
I'd never really paid any attention to that instrument, and
Or
so,
considered playing an instrument at all. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. I had always wanted to play one, just not badly enough to actually
Yeah.
do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it was mostly guitar and keyboard that I wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
But so I started actually listening to the bass in songs, and then we played "Sabotage" by
Yeah.
the Beastie Boys, and that was the song
Sick bass
that
line.
got me to want to play bass.
Yeah.
And we
That's
played
a
it
good one.
on Guitar Hero.
Yep. So when we'd play co-op Guitar Hero, I'd always play the guitar part and he'd play the bass part. Yeah. That was awesome.
And then
Eventually we got very good at Guitar Hero.
yeah, we got into the point where we were playing the upper tier of expert mode songs.
Yeah.
Getting into the Dragon Force stuff. I think
And
our,
One and Raining Blood and
our
Before I
crowning
Forget and
achievement
stuff like that.
was beating Heroes of Our Time, I
Yep.
think,
On Expert.
co-op.
Yep.
That was the hardest song
The
that
two
we ever beat.
we've done 2 of the Dragon Force songs on Expert.
and
That was our big one.
so like we would play lead and rhythm, and
I'd usually play lead.
yeah, it depended on like what time period it was because there was
Sometimes I was better, sometimes you were
yeah,
better.
Our skills would wax and wane, but
I mean, my peak was a little better than his, but whatever.
yeah, okay, whatever. So we were playing lead and rhythm on that song,
On
and
Heroes
then
of Our
we had to
Time,
like
yeah.
pause it in the middle of the solo and switch roles.
Yep.
Because
It got rhythm got weirdly hard
Yeah.
during the solo.
and when we
So
did
I had
that,
to
we
take,
were
I had
finally
to take
able
over
to
the
beat
rhythm.
it.
Yep. It was so intense. Like we had to be hyped on energy drinks and just like laser focused.
Yep, that's what we were at our grandparents' house, and we just chugged a bunch of caffeine.
Visa.
Yeah, we were in Diviso at the time, which is I think it might still just be a Northwest thing
Yeah.
mainly.
It's
might
a
have,
Portland-based company.
yeah,
so.
they might have branched out
We're in
into
Oregon,
like
I don't ever
California,
know
and
that.
Montana.
Throwing that out there.
But so those have like 300 milligrams of caffeine per bottle. So we just
They're crazy.
chugged those and then just went to
And
town.
just like went. Yeah. Laser focused.
then we-
Never beat Through the Fire and Flames though.
No.
On Expert. Beat it on hard,
Yeah,
but not Expert.
and
So sad.
yeah, I think we did beat all 3 of the other ones: Revolution, Death Squad, Operation.
Did we
Ground
ever
Pound.
beat? We did beat Operation. That's right.
Yeah, actually, I think that might have been one of the easier ones between the 3
I feel like it
for us to do on co-op.
was easier on hard, but I don't think it was easier on Expert.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. That Operation on Expert was the first one I beat on
Yeah.
my own.
Yeah, that's one of the like 3 that you've beaten that I haven't been
Yeah,
able to.
yeah.
That one, Raining Blood.
Operation Raining Blood. There's one more. Before I forget, did you ever beat that?
I might have. I think maybe just the final guitar battle on the
Yeah.
expert mode career.
Oh yeah,
The
that's
Devil
probably
Went
it.
Down to Georgia guitar battle.
Anyway, yeah. Good times.
And then the
Good
only
times.
one I've beaten that you haven't was Slash Guitar Battle.
That's true. I didn't beat that.
Or
the
not
downloadable version.
the whole Slash
the whole
Guitar
song.
Battle song that was DLC.
Yeah, I beat the career one.
Yeah.
but not the DLC one. Yeah. Oh, I loved playing the Halo theme on that game.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So cool.
The Top Gun
The
anthem.
full Mjolnir mix. So yeah, they did
Yeah.
have the Top Gun anthem on there. They had a lot of good songs on the downloadable.
One of the few that I couldn't beat was "There's Nothing for Me Here."
Oh yeah.
That was hard.
That's
I
a
think
hard
that's the
song.
hardest of the bonus songs besides "Through
Nothing
the Fire
from
and
here
Flames."
by Dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is nuts. It's just like
Yeah,
it's just like
lots
you're
of
flipping
really
around
quick
like crazy.
changes. And,
One of the most fun ones was "Cities on Flames" with "Rock and Roll" by Blue Oyster Cult.
which
Such a
they're
good song.
awesome.
I love that band.
Because of that game, I was introduced to that
I got
band.
into them as well. Yeah.
Like I had heard "Don't Fear the Reaper"
Yeah.
and Godzilla before,
but I didn't even know they
really
were
know
the same band.
Yeah.
Yep. Got into that. "Burning for You" is probably my favorite song now. But yeah.
A fun one that's not especially hard, but it's just hard enough was "Impulse."
Impulse. Yeah.
Yeah,
So good. Oh, speaking of doodle-doos, because of that game, me and Brian both, we can recite an entire song by the
its
guitar
part.
line.
Yeah,
And like the whole song, nail every part just with different melodies and
yeah.
go through a whole song just mimicking the guitar because of that game. So we did play it quite a lot. After that, we didn't really play it as much.
No,
After the next few games.
And while
World
I can
Tour
still
kinda sucked.
play songs on expert mode, I
Smash
can only
Hits was
play
fun.
like the easier ones at this point. I've lost a
Yeah,
lot of my
I can play some
ability.
expert, but yeah, it's just been too long.
It's one of those kinds of games where you can't necessarily just pick it back up. You
Yeah.
gotta like warm back up.
Like My Name is Jonas is kind of hard
yeah,
now. Yeah, even though that was used to be my warm up song.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a time at my best, my warm up song was Cliffs of Dover,
yeah.
which is one of the hardest songs in the game. But that was just my warm up. So fun. Incredible song, by the way.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing guitar songs ever. That guy's insane.
Yep, Eric Johnson.
That was fun.
Yep.
Good times. Well, with that, we could probably end it there.
Yep.
Ladies, gentlemen, aliens, whoever seems to be watching, thank you so much for doing so. Brian, anything you want to say to the audience? Great. Okay.
Goodbye, everyone.
I was hoping you were more silent. Anyway, thanks, guys. That's it. It's over. Get out of here.